I was brought up in a family that believed that art should be used as an instrument for social change. I really don't think that you have to think of it as a problem of India or otherwise. You have to think of it as a problem of your mindset.
Hi Shabana Azmi, welcome to Dhaka Tribune. We are so incredibly happy to have you with us, and we hope you're doing well during these tough times. Your brother's film just came out, Mee Raqsam, meaning I Dance. It's your brother Baba Azmi's debut as a director, and he's been a cinematographer since 1975, and this is the first time he's directing. And you're not in the film, but you worked in some capacity. So what was your involvement with the film?
I'm presenting the film, and it is the first film I'm presenting. And I'm presenting it not because Baba is my brother, but because, in a sense, it is a tribute to my late father, Kaifi Azmi, who, as you know, was a very well-known and highly respected Urdu poet, who was a very progressive, liberal man and a feminist to boot. And Mee Raqsam, which means I dance, is a celebration of the composite culture and pluralism of India. And so when it was Kaifi Azmi Sahab's centenary celebrations in 2019, and on his birthday, Baba gave got the Mahurat shot for the film because it was his tribute to his father. And because the film celebrates all the values that our father has taught us, I'm presenting it, and I'm very proud to do so.
Okay, great. Have you collaborated with your brother in other films before?
Well, we've done many films in which he has been the director of photography and I have been the actor, whether it's ad films or short films or feature films. But this is the first time that I am in my capacity as presenter.
So the film, it shows that art can unite and also it can divide some people depending on their mentalities. It's such a powerful message to give. And do you think this message is particularly important in today's society?
I think it is an extremely important message. Any message that talks about love rather than hate, talks about exclusivity, talks about inclusion instead of exclusivity, talks about uniting people instead of dividing them, is obviously very welcome. I was brought up in a family that believed that art should be used as an instrument for social change, and that art has the capacity to create a climate of sensitivity in which it is possible for change to occur. My father did that all his life through his poetry, and my mother through the roles that she chose as an actor of theatre and cinema. So both Baba and I imbibed that view of the world almost by a process of osmosis. I think that messages of hope in what seems to be dark times is really a good thing to do.
Okay. Yeah, I was surprised by how dire the circumstances was for this girl who wanted to just learn Bharatanaytam. I had no idea that it was so widespread. Is this problem widespread in India, or is it just in particular areas?
I really don't think that you have to think of it as a problem of India or otherwise. You have to think of it as a problem of your mindset. So it really is about a mindset that is liberal and progressive against a mindset that is intolerant and obscurantist. Who comprise those are really mirror images of each other. So we have to look at it as a struggle between two world views rather than say that this is particular to a country like India.
Okay. Okay, great. So Naseeruddin Shah plays a pivotal role in this film. What did you think about his portrayal?
It is an absolutely outstanding performance, and all the more because Naseeruddin Shah in real life is the complete opposite of the person Hashim Seth that he is playing. Because in real life he is a very liberal, progressive person, and he is playing such an obscurantist man that even his complexion looks pasty, and it seems as though his meanness is seeping out of all his pores, and he does it with such conviction. I asked Nasir, I said, how can you do with such complete conviction a character that is the opposite of you? And he says, well, that's the demand of you as an actor, that you should be able to do it. So I cannot see anybody else in that role but him, and he does it with a menacing quality and such power. From the very minute he enters into the frame, you feel, oh my God, there's something ominous about this man.
Okay. And as you mentioned, it's a tribute to your father. So was there any particular scene or dialogue that reminded you of him the most?
A lot of the scenes. A lot of the scenes. When I decided that I wanted to become a professional actress, I asked my father, I said, I want to become an actress, and will you support me? And he said, I will support you in whatever it is that you choose to do. Tomorrow, if you want to become a shoemaker, if you want to become a mochi, I will support you even in that, provided you tell yourself that you will try to be the biggest mochi, the biggest the best shoemaker in the business. And so his love for me was unconditional, as is Salim's love for his daughter, Maria. But apart from that, another thing that I would like to draw attention to is, in today's world where masculinity has become such a toxic word. It's about power, and it's about guns, and it's about muscle and all of
Dominance.
that. What Salim is such a refreshing change, because he plays both mother and father to his young daughter, and in that he softens the edges, and he redefines masculinity for you. Why can't it also be about love, about support, about gentleness, and does it without beating his chest from the pulpit? He does it with a quiet strength and a dignity, which I think is very important. A. Two, there is a lovely, lovely little shot in the film when the girl is getting ready for her, Mariam is getting ready for her final performance, and she's putting, that red paint, Alta it's called, on her feet. And he says, come, let me help you. And she says, no, let it be. And he says, if your mother were alive, would you have said no? And she looks at him and she says, no. Now, that to me is such a tender, beautiful moment, because she says, agar maa hoti, to kya mana karti? Beautiful. Then there's another very, very lovely moment when, some people from the town have come to the village, and they are thrilled that she's doing this, that a Muslim girl is doing Bharatanaytam, and they say that your parents must be highly educated. What does your father do? And so there's a disquiet around, and people are a little uncomfortable, and the teacher says, come, let's go away. And Mariam turns around with complete pride and says, Darzi hai mere abbu. He's a tailor, my father. Now that is the dignity of labor that my father always struggled and fought for, because he wrote millions of poems about the working man's struggle and giving dignity to the working man. And that's what Mee Raqsam also does. It's the quintessential person that Kaifi was.
Okay. So this movie was released on an OTT platform on Z5 on August 21st. So it didn't get to be released in theaters. So how do you feel about this channel of distribution?
Well, I think for films like Mee Raqsam, which don't boast of stars, which don't have all the action and drama and sex and everything that is associated with a big mainstream film, the OTT platform is actually a boon, because otherwise a film like this would get a very small limited release, and then maybe it would be shown in different parts of the world at different times. There could not be this kind of impact, but now at one go you have at your fingertips 190 countries that are watching the film. So I've got such excited calls from friends and relatives all over the world saying, "My God, we're going to be able to watch it at the same time as you." I think what the OTT platforms are doing really is quite significant, because they have come to terms with the fact that content is king, that content is the star, and so they can take many more risks with subjects. So I think for Mee Raqsam, it's wonderful that Z5 is showing it. Problem is what? Many people do not know how to reach Z5, and especially people of my age. The young people all know it. And so for the last 2-3 days, there's been this confusion. How does one get Z5? And then you have to explain to them that, it's a streaming platform. You can download it. You go to the Apple store, or you go to the iTunes store. You go to all that. You have to explain to them. And then there are also tutorials of how you can access Z5. So our energy is going a lot in people very excited and hearing about the film and wanting to see it and not knowing exactly how to reach Z5. I'm telling you, it's very easy. Please do see it.
Yes, I did. And now that the filming is over, the movie is out, do you look back on the days you were shooting, and do you have some memories that stand out?
The whole shooting has been an extremely emotional experience for my brother and myself, because the story of Mijwan, this little village in which the entire film is made, is a tiny little village in Azamgarh, Uttar Pradesh, India, where my father was born. Now, 40 years after he had left Mijwan and gone to Bombay to earn a livelihood, he came back to discover that it was a village frozen in time, and there was nothing. There was no road, there was no school, there was no electricity, there was nothing. And my father decided to settle down in Mijwa and work to make it a model village. He founded an NGO called Mijwa Welfare Society, which had empowerment of the girl child at its center. And because he believed if you have to make real progress in India, you have to do so by turning towards our villages. Now, many, many years ago, he once very wistfully asked my brother that, "Baba, will it be possible, you think, to shoot a film in Mijwan?" And Baba just smiled it away, because there weren't the kind of infrastructure that is required to make a film. And yet when Baba decided to make his first film, he struggled with the idea of making a mainstream film, doing a commercial film. He got 2-3 scripts written, but his heart was not in. So when it was Kaifi Sahib's birth centenary year, he decided that he would make the entire film in Mijwan. And he found the girl, the lead girl, Aditi Subedi, who's a 15-year-old, lovely, gorgeous girl who was born and brought up in Mijwan. Now the fact that she is playing the lead, she was a girl who had never faced the camera before. She had never done a step of Bharatanaytam. but she gave it her all. And she's become a role model for all the other girls in Mijwa, because suddenly they feel, oh my God, life has many opportunities and we can afford to have dreams and pursue them. So on the one level, Aditi Subedi's life, she also has been supported by her father, Gopal, and she has been supported just the way that Mariam is supported by her father. And for me, that experience that you see the empowerment of a girl child transforming in front of your eyes is what Abba always wanted, what Kaifi always wanted. And so every moment of that shooting is very, very precious.
Okay. So there are many artists that are struggling around us, and when well-established artists, well-known artists like you see this kind of injustices around you, what do you think the role of stars is when you see injustice around you?
Well, like I told you, I grew up believing that art should be used as an instrument for social change, that art has the capacity to create a climate of sensitivity in which it is possible for change to occur. And so I think because you have a sphere of influence and people listen to you, it would be good to use that in a constructive manner for the betterment of social justice and society. But it isn't, I cannot say that every single artist must do that, because there are some artists who believe just in art for art's sake, and their belief is valid. Because I cannot impose my beliefs on them, then what will be the difference between me and a fundamentalist if I say that only my way is right and nothing else? So it's really about everybody making their own choices.
Mm-hmm. So do you have a message to the struggling artists, aspiring artists who face such huge obstacles from the society like this girl did in your film?
See, the fact is, I always say for people who want to get into acting that don't do it. Don't do it unless you're so passionate about it that you feel that you will die if you don't act. Only then do it. Because what happens is, if you have a pretty face, or if you can dance, or if you can do horse riding, or if you have a good body, you tell yourself, oh, why can't I be an actor? But the fact is that a lot of training is required for actors, and also a lot of luck. And you have to face rejection on a daily level, because you're giving auditions every day, and every day you're being rejected. Whereas if you're looking for a job, you'll get rejected once or twice and then you'll get the job. Here, there is no guarantee. So unless you're truly, truly passionate about it, and if you are, then I have benefited very greatly by being professionally trained in acting at the Film Institute. I was a gold medalist in my class. I was exposed to the kind of cinema I would never have seen otherwise. And so I have been a big beneficiary of being a student at the Film Institute. So I think it's very important that if you are an actor, then first you have to have discipline. That's the most important thing. You have to look after your body, because an actor is her own instrument. You have to enlarge your vision. You have to be connected with life. You have to watch paintings, movies, drama, go to classical concerts. Even if you don't understand them, you should go so that you expand your own experiences. Because the more you expand yourself, the richer will be your contribution to the character that you are playing.
Okay. You're a very busy person. What are you busy with right now?
Well, I was shooting for a web series called Halo in Budapest when the pandemic happened and we had to leave Budapest and come back. And when I came back to India on the 15th of March, within 4 days or something, the lockdown was announced, and it was a very, very strict lockdown. So at that point, the NGO I work with, Mijma Welfare Society, we got very, very involved in providing relief and rehabilitation to the people who had been suffering. both at a personal level and through our NGO, MWS, Mijma Welfare Society. We did a lot of work with it. It was very painful to see how sharp the divides had become between the rich and the poor at the time of the pandemic. And it brings into focus for us the fact that really we need to invest in a much stronger public health system. So at one level we were involved with that. Then on the other, we've moved away and come from our flat in the city to a hill station called Khandala, which is 2 hours away from Mumbai. And here you had time to reflect, to think, to revisit your ideas. And I think one of the greatest lessons that I've learned is that there is a great difference between need and want. Most of the time, we want and we think we need. Actually, we need much less than we use. I keep feeling that, see, now that there's nobody to see us, one is so careless about one's clothes. You're walking around in a t-shirt, pajama, without a dot of makeup on your face. So does it mean that all this time that you've spent, buying clothes you don't need, buying heels you don't need, buying bags, many more than you need? Maybe we need to look at it again, simplify our life, and also reconnect with nature in a far more sustainable way. I think what the pandemic has also done has made us aware that whether we are rich or poor, whether we are from the east or the west, we are deeply connected with each other. And so we should work together.
Just one last thing. Any message to your Bangladeshi admirers and well-wishers?
I have to tell you that I come to Dhaka every year. I work with the BRAC, which is the largest NGO in the world. And Abid Bhai, Fazle Abid, who was the head of BRAC, passed away recently, and for me it's been a personal loss. But the kind of work that BRAC does makes me very happy to be associated with it. But when I come to Dhaka, the kind of love and affection that I get from the ladies on the street really overwhelms me. I mean, the people my age who have watched my movies are so affectionate and so generous in their warmth and their praise that I feel really, really very blessed. Then I love the Dhakai sarees. I love the kachi biryani. I love the shingara. I just love being in Bangladesh, and so I really look forward to a very healthy relationship between India and Bangladesh, and I hope that we will be able to have many, many joint ventures together, particularly films.
Okay, thank you so much for being with us. It was such an honor and pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Thank you very much.